friends, it's Jessie here. I am back with another video, and in today's video we are going to be reconciling my budget for week 2 of June. I posted my budget video for the second paycheck in June last Friday, and that's where I went over all of our budgeted numbers for the week. And now that the week is over, I'm going to be going through and talking about what I actually spent, see if I was over budget or under budget. I am in my budget by paycheck workbook from the Budget Mom. I have the printable version, which I print and punch and put into a big size happy planner. If you are interested in my setup, I filmed a whole video talking about my June budget setup, and I will link that in the cards above as well as down below. You guys can check that out so you can get more details about the paper that I print on, my planner, and all of the stuff that I use. So we're just gonna jump right into reconciling this budget. In addition to my budget by paycheck workbook, I also use a Erin Condren Deluxe monthly planner. This is the 2019-2020 version of the planner. She did just release a new version of this planner. It's just called a monthly planner now, and it's essentially the same thing. It's a dashboard page and a calendar page and then some notes pages afterwards. But the new version has so many more notes pages between each month. So I highly recommend you check it out if you're interested in a planner like this. I do a lot of budgeting in this planner by paycheck, just sort of off camera. I don't really show this planner too much, but I use it primarily to keep track of my transactions. So all of the money that I spent throughout the week gets written down in this planner using a color coding system, and this is how I reconcile my budget. I go through at the end of the week and take a look at all of my spending, and then I just fill in these actual columns here, and that tells me if I'm over or under budget. So now that we have kind of done my little introduction here, we'll go ahead and talk about the budget for the week. So my husband gets paid on Tuesdays, so whenever I do my reconciliation of my budget, I always go from Tuesday to Monday. So I budgeted for the week of June 9th through June 15th. So those are the dates we're looking at for everything. And I also had gone ahead and paid a few of these other bills that are moving forward into next week just because I had the money. And if I can get myself ahead on my bills, I'm always all about that. So for grocery, I budgeted $150. And if we look into my Deluxe monthly planner here, all of the transactions that are in this sort of purpley color, let me zoom you guys in. This sort of purpley color here are grocery. So I had a couple of transactions just on Tuesday. It looks like I didn't, oh yeah, so we have some on Tuesday and some on Thursday. So these are all of my grocery transactions, so I'm going to add those up. I think I'm just going to use my phone as a calculator this time. I pulled out my calculator, but I actually prefer to use my phone's calculator. So on Tuesday, I did the bulk of my shopping. I spent $102.29 at Walmart, and then we also went to Circle K and picked up a few little snacky type items. So that was Tuesday, and then on Thursday we went to Lowe's and bought pellets for my husband's pellet smoker grill, and I took that out of our grocery budget as well. So that was $15.11. And that was it for our grocery shopping for the week. So I spent a total of $122.72 on groceries, so we were actually under budget. So I will just then in the actual column, because we were under budget, I use black ink and I just write in $122.72. And that is it for groceries. So that's essentially how I do it. I go through and check in my monthly planner, look at my transactions, and just add them up. And then now that I've added those, I will go ahead and check off all of the grocery purchases. Next, I have gas, and if you look in my planner here, you will see that between the 9th and the 15th, I actually did not pump gas at all. So I budgeted $50 for gas. I didn't actually pump any gas, but I'm still going to write that we spent $50 because I'm actually going to pull that $50 out of our bank account now, and we have sort of sinking fund where we put any of the gas money that we don't spend. We just kind of set that money aside and use it on a week when we need to use more gas. So I always budget $50 in gas, but sometimes we require more than that. We drive an F-250 Super Duty. It's a gas guzzler. We also have a car. So if we're making long trips, especially if we're going back and forth to our camper, or if we just have a lot of driving to do, sometimes it takes more than $50 a week. So that is when I will then go into that envelope and pull out our sort of reserve money. So some weeks we're under, some weeks we're over, but in general we always do $50 in our gas fund. I hope that makes sense. I know that that might be a little bit confusing, but that's just how we do it. It makes sense to us, and I guess that's all that really matters. So what I'm actually going to do is pull in a little sticky note here. This is just a set of sticky notes that I got from Target years and years and years ago from their dollar spot. But I'm just going to make a little note for myself to pull out $50 from the bank for the gas fund. And when I'm doing my budget for paycheck number 3, I will include this $50 in that budget. That way we only have to go to the bank once a week. Also, anything that I pulled out cash for, but we ended up spending on our debit card, that money will then get deposited to the bank. So I hope that makes sense. I think I'm making it more complicated than it has to be when I'm talking about it, but it works out. Okay. So for household, I don't have any stickers in my monthly planner here because I don't keep track of household expenses in this planner. I just send that $30 straight to our Amazon credit card, where we purchase all of our household items through Amazon Subscribe and Save. So I did send that $30. I know that for sure. Now for miscellaneous, I kept some miscellaneous money in cash and some miscellaneous money in the bank. That way we were covered in any scenario, whether we needed extra cash for something or if we needed to use our debit card. However, I actually didn't end up using any of the cash. I only made purchases through the bank for miscellaneous. And so I'm going to technically be over in this category, this miscellaneous category. But I have a total of $50 in our miscellaneous fund. I just so happen to use more from the bank and less from cash. So moving forward, I'll probably just keep the miscellaneous all in the bank and just swipe my card. That way I'm covered either way, and I don't have to keep taking money out of the bank and putting money back in the bank to cover things. So there's that. So for miscellaneous, I used this green sticker. I actually had a sticker that I had printed and cut for myself to use for miscellaneous. I lost those stickers. I finally found them. They were in my little briefcase. I found them when I was filming my What's in My Bag video, which I posted on Monday. You guys can check that out as well. They were stuck in there, so I'll be able to use those for the rest of the month. But in the interim, I just used like the same color sticker from the back of the planner. This planner comes with some stickers as well. So the only purchase that I made for miscellaneous was $38 from Walmart. I bought a bunch of like cat litter and a new cat litter box and stuff. We were using the Tidy Cats Breeze system for a really long time, and that worked out great when we had just one cat. But now that we have 2 cats, it's just not working as well. Our new cat doesn't really like the pellets, and so we decided to go back to regular clumping litter. So I made those purchases and just took that out of our miscellaneous fund. So that's the only miscellaneous expense that I had this week, so I don't need to calculate anything. So I'm just going to write $38. And like I said, technically I'm over budget in this category, but I'm gonna write it in black because overall my miscellaneous budget is $50, so I was still under. I just need to, again, use my little sticky notes to make a note that I need to take some of the cash that I have set aside and put it in the bank to take care of the extra money that came out of the bank. We do have a buffer in our account. We have a little bit of a cushion, so when this happens, it's not a big deal, but I definitely, when I'm reconciling my budget, want to make sure that I make a note of it. So I spent $38, $25 was in the bank to cover it, so I need to put $13 to the bank for miscellaneous. And like I said, moving forward, I will most likely just be doing my miscellaneous money under the bills category and not pulling out cash for it, because I'm just finding that I'm using the bank more for that. And if I'm out and about, I can always just swipe my debit card to cover for things. I don't have to pull cash. So that's what I'll do moving forward. I used to be pretty much an all cash spender, but with the coronavirus and being home, I've just gotten more used to buying things online, doing that sort of thing. So I've sort of transitioned away from using a lot of cash. I may be pulling out my spending money. I may no longer pull out my spending money in cash either. We'll just have to see. But moving forward, okay, skincare from Amazon. So I talked about this in my budget video. I was telling you guys how I needed to order some skincare products for Austin, and I did that, and I budgeted $25 for it. And now I'm just going to look at that order and see what the exact cost was, because I don't think it came to quite $25. Let's see. So the total for that was $22.65. So we were under budget for that as well, which is great. And then the only other things were a couple of bills that I paid for the week. So it was our truck payment and our camper payment. So I budgeted $300 for our truck payment. As you can see here, that is exactly what it cost, $300. So right on the money with that. And our camper payment as well, I budgeted $200. And as you can see here, that got paid and it was exactly $200. So I was either under budget or right on budget for just about everything here. Like I said, that miscellaneous fund is a little wonky because I split it up and kept some money in the bank and some in cash, but either way. So let's go ahead and add this up, all of the actual totals here, so we can get a total for this category. So we have $122.72 plus 50 plus 30 plus 38 plus 22.65 plus 300 plus 200. So my grand total came out to $763.37. So that's awesome. That means that I am under budget. Always like when my actual column is lower than my budgeted column. We get into trouble if we are constantly going over budget. So you guys couldn't even see that, could you? There you go. All right. Next, we'll move on to cash envelopes. So in this case, once again, I pulled out some cash for myself for spending, and then I made purchases using my debit card. So that's something I'm going to have to reconcile, but in general, we'll just be going through my cash envelopes. So my husband's spending, I gave him $60. I pulled that out in cash. I gave it to him. I don't know what he spent it on, but I know that he hasn't swiped the debit card for anything. He never does. He always uses his cash. He's really good about it. So I don't need to reconcile anything there. $60 is what I planned. $60 is what I gave him. End of story. Now, miscellaneous. Like I said, because I pulled some of it out in cash and some of it I left in the bank, it's a little wonky. So in my miscellaneous envelope, which I have here, I use my cash envelopes for cash in my wallet. I actually still have that full $25. So I budgeted $25 in cash and didn't end up spending it. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark this out as 0. And this cash I'm going to just leave in the bank, or leave in the envelope for next week. And I probably won't add anything to this miscellaneous envelope moving forward. I'll just leave that money in the bank to use should we need anything. Okay, so for eating out, my eating out envelope is completely empty. We spent every single bit of it. And I did go ahead and write it down here to show you guys where that money went. So on Thursday, we went to KFC for dinner and spent $36. And on Sunday, we went to Little Caesars and grabbed a couple of hot and ready pizzas, as well as some breadsticks for $14. So that's where my eating out money went, in case you were curious. And then comes my spending money. So again, this was a scenario where I pulled it out in cash. I didn't end up using any of the cash. It's all still here in my envelope, but I did make some purchases, and I just used my debit card, so I will need to deposit some of this money back into the bank. So let's go ahead and go over the purchases that I made. And I wrote them down, again, in my planner here. Alright, you guys, so I realized I had actually neglected to write down one of my transactions, so I went ahead and did that off camera. But in terms of my spending, I just used these purple stickers, and again, these are from the back of the Erin Condren monthly planner, and I just wrote down my purchases. So the first purchase I made was through Nintendo. I actually purchased in the Nintendo store for my Wii U, a video game. It was Phantom Hourglass it was originally a Nintendo DS game, I believe, and I've been playing it on my Wii U and really enjoying it. So I purchased that. It was a total of $10.59. And then the other purchase that I made for myself for the week from my spending money was from Erin Condren. I placed a big Erin Condren order. I purchased a notebook and a few other things, as well as the new monthly planner. So the grand total of that order, I think, was like $85, but I used Afterpay, which is just a way to kind of break up the payment. So it breaks it up for you so you don't have to pay it all at once. And so the amount that I had to pay this time was $22.15. So for my spending for the week, sorry if you guys can hear my son in the background. He's playing video games. It's summer vacation, so it is what it is. The amount that I spent this week, both of those purchases were made on Sunday, by the way. I didn't spend anything else throughout the week. $10.59 to Nintendo and $22.15 for Erin Condren was a total of $32.74. So even though it wasn't in cash, I was under budget. I will just need to take the cash from my spending envelope and deposit it into the bank. So once again, I'm going to pull in my handy little sticky note here and make a note for myself. If I don't do this, I will forget. So $32.74 to the bank for my spending. And so what I will do then is just deposit the money that I need to make sure that everything evens out. Alright, so for our grand total for envelopes, I'll go ahead and add these totals up. 60 plus 50 plus 32.74. Our total for our cash envelopes is $142.74, and again, we are under budget, which is awesome. Now for sinking funds, the rest of this is relatively easy because it was all as planned. So I did put $50 into our campground sinking fund. I did put $25 into our card tags, $25 into Christmas, and $50 into vacation. That was all as planned, so that is even. Our debt snowball payment was $128. I did make that payment, so that was all as planned. And then Saveopoly, when I filmed my budget video and I pulled out the cash from the bank. I had actually forgotten to pull out this $22 for Saveopoly, but I have since remedied that. I did add the $22 into our Saveopoly fund, so that was as planned. So that means that all of my categories, everything in here is written in black. That means I'm completely under budget. If ever I go over budget, I always write that in red ink so that it jumps right out at me, hey, you spent more than you should have. And if I'm using a red pen all the time, if I'm finding that I'm constantly going over in a category, then that is my cue to think about the possibility of raising my budgeted amount for that category. This week I did really well. Even though there's some numbers to finagle, I need to put some money in the bank and take some money out of the bank to reconcile our account to make it have the amount that it should have. I was still under budget, so I'm really, really happy with that. So that is going to do it for this budget results video. Let me know what you guys think of this video. Do you enjoy seeing the amounts at the end and finding out if I was over budget or under budget? I really enjoy doing this kind of video. I do this every single week anyway. I sit down and reconcile my budget, so it's no big deal to just go ahead and film it while I'm at it. So if you guys like this and you'd like to continue to see these videos, let me know. Leave me a comment down below. And make sure that you're subscribed so that when these videos and all of my other budgeting videos go up, you will be able to check those out. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys!